Hey everybody, HomeSliceHenry here, and in today's video we are going to be taking a look at an incredibly fun spice pick in the Open Ultra League, and that is XL Level 50 Seviper. Now, ever since the Poison buff, this is a Pokemon that I have wanted to build, and today we finally get to test it out. At level 50, Seviper maxes at 2380 CP, and for the moveset, it's running the standard moveset of Poison Jab, Poison Fang, and Crunch. So without further ado, let's hop into the matches and let's take a look at XL Seviper in action. Hopping into the first match, pretty rough lead. Scrafty into Talonflame. We are going to save switch into our Seviper. Unfortunately, we're not quite able to get to the Crunch, so we are going to be going for the Poison Fang, hoping that they lost track, which they did, and they commit the shield. That's very nice. Seviper actually beats Talonflame in the 2-shield if they shield the first Poison Fang, so things are looking great for us here. We're going to be going for another Poison Fang. That'll be doing quite a bit of damage, so we are able to get the shield, and we sneak a Poison Jab through. That is absolutely massive, and now we just win the 2s. The opponent recognizes they lose switch to a Seviper, and they're going to save switch into the Shadow Snorlax. But since they took so long to switch out, we are actually going to be able to bring in our Scrafty. We can't quite farm down, but I'm hoping that with the defense debuff, this power-up punch is enough to KO. Oh, unfortunately, the Snorlax lives on a small amount of HP, and they're able to connect with a Body Slam. That is definitely not ideal. The Talonflame is still 2 Incinerates off of a move, so we can go for the Foul Play, and this Foul Play will be taking them out, and it all depends what they have in the back. They have their own Scrafty in the back. We're going to be going for the Power-Up Punch, doing as much damage as we can while we're here. That lands, and it's a CMP tie, so the fact that they threw energy there, even better for us, and the opponent actually resigns the match mid Power-Up Punch, and that is a good game. Hopping into the next match, and we have the Scrafty Mirror. I do want to get some chip damage before I save switch into the Seviper. I go for the Power-Up Punch, and I do lose CMP, and that's going to be very useful information if that does come up later in the match. I'll connect with this Power-Up Punch, get some chip damage, and now I'm going to save switch into the Seviper, and they do bring out a Poison Jab Alolan Muck. Unfortunately, since I'm a pure Poison type, I do lose this matchup, but I will be able to connect with the Crunches, and the Crunches will do a solid chunk of damage to the Alolan Muck even when resisted. They go for the Dark Pulse. That almost takes me out. That is unfortunate. We are going to be able to get off a second Crunch, which will be getting this Alolan Muck low, but we are unable to flip switch. Here, my Scrafty is still pretty healthy, which is nice, so I can bring in the Scrafty. We can tank a move and farm down, and they have Acid Spray. That is very nice. They don't have Sludge Wave, and we're able to farm down. That is huge. They bring in their own Scrafty. I throw the Power-Up Punch. Probably a mistake. I probably should have just swapped here and saved that energy. And they have a Shadow Lapras in the back. So this is very, very rough, as unfortunately those Ice Shards are hitting us for super effective damage. But our Nidoqueen does have 2 shields, and Nidoqueen with 2 shields is incredibly devastating in the end game. We're going to be going for a second Poison Fang. We do get the shield, and now we're going to start committing shields of our own. And now their defense is 2 stages debuff, so these Poison Jabs are really going to start to add up. Going for a second serve, we have to commit the shield. We're going to overfarm as much as we can, and we're going for the Poison Fang. Now this will kill if they decide not to shield, and they do save the shield. The Scrafty comes back in. We're going to be going for the Poison Fang. This will be lowering the defense, and we switch into our own Scrafty to catch. Oh, that is big. Unfortunately, they went for the Power-Up Punch. We try and farm down. We're unable to do so. We bring back in the Nidoqueen, and they get to another Power-Up Punch. We are incredibly low, but this is resisted, and we farm down on 1 HP, and we somehow get the win. So despite quite a few misplays, able to get the job done. Absolutely horrendous lead in the next game, leading Scrafty into a Charmer. We save switch Seviper and we bait out a Giratina, and this is where Crunch is incredibly nice, because Crunch will be doing massive super effective damage even to the bulky Giratina. We're farming up, and they're forced to throw. They're not able to farm down without taking another Crunch, so they're forced to throw. That doesn't quite take me out. I won't be able to get to the Crunch, but I can go for the Poison Fang, and that does do a little bit of chip damage. I will fully wait my clock because I do not want to be switch locked into that Clefable. we are going to bring in the Scrafty, and we're just going to start farming. Scrafty, health on my Scrafty at this moment isn't particularly important, just because there is a Charmer in play, but hopefully I can farm up quite a bit of energy and potentially use it to snipe later on. I tank another Dragon Claw, that's fine. We're going to keep farming all the way up to 2 foul plays. We'll throw 1, and that way we'll have 1 for later. Going for the foul play there, waiting for the Charmer, and now we're going to bring in the Nidoqueen, and they have Obstagoon in the back. This is absolutely fantastic. Obstagoon does have a losing matchup versus Nidoqueen. Nidoqueen can go straight Poison Fang. I will let the first Night Slash through just in case they boost, which they do not, which is very nice for me. And now we're just going to ramp up these Poison Jabs, start spamming out the Poison Fangs. The defense drop is guaranteed, and this Obstagoon is in a really tough spot, knowing they have the Clefable in the back, going for another Poison Fang, and if they decide to shield this, I do have the potential to snipe with a power-up punch, but my opponent wisely decides not to commit the shield, whereas I have to commit the shield. I have to preserve health, as they're going to be bringing in that Charmer, but Nidoqueen is still very healthy. Charms are not doing a whole lot to the Nidoqueen. We land the Poison Fang there, going for the farm down, and Nidoqueen able to close strong. We bring in the Scrafty, and we get some usefulness out of it to farm down and overcome an absolutely horrendous lead. Speaking of horrendous leads, Sylveon, that is absolutely terrible. We save switch into Seviper, and unfortunately we are hard punished on the lead and the swap, as Galarian Stunfisk absolutely destroys Seviper. We are able to get the crunch off, which is very nice. I'm hoping they go for the Earthquake, which they do, as it would definitely be worse for me if they went for a Rock Slide and then committed to the Mud Shot down. Scrafty is very bulky, so I can survive an Earthquake here. Not too worried about that. Again, we are going to be farming up, and I'm going to be going for that foul play to secure the KO. Power-Up Punch just doesn't do a lot of damage in this situation, and I'm going to have to switch out anyway, since we know there's a Sylveon coming in. Waiting the clock, we bring in the Nidoqueen, and they have an Umbreon in the back. I'm expecting them to call the first one, so I'll actually build up to the Earth Power, go for the Earth Power, and it lands to do some guaranteed damage. That's very nice. And now the moment of truth, do they have Psychic? They do not. They throw the foul play, that is okay with me, and we are going to have to start shielding because we will need our Nidoqueen to be fairly healthy to take out the Sylveon in the back. And here we are going to start going for the Poison Fangs and begin to ramp up our attacks. Going for the second one, and now we should see the Umbreon begin to start shielding. That's one benefit to running Umbreon. It is exceedingly tanky, so it really doesn't have to respect a lot of those moves. They go for the foul play. We're farming up a bunch. Again, we switch and we're able to catch onto the Scrafty. That is absolutely massive. Foul play, double resisted, not doing a lot. Unfortunately, the Sylveon will be able to come in and do double super effective damage. We throw the power-up punch for any chip possible. And now we come back in with the Nidoqueen, and we just have to get to a second Poison Fang. We throw the first, they land it. Can we farm down? And we cannot. So close. Unfortunately, they do reach the Psyshock, and we are just unable to overcome that hard counter. All right, hopping into the next match, Scrafty into Talonflame. Again, this is a pretty rough lead. We are going to save switch into the Seviper. We switch fast enough this time, so we're actually able to get to the crunch, but we do bait with the Poison Fang, and the opponent calls it. Very nicely done. We have to commit shield. Seviper is exceedingly glassy. I believe its defense stat when maxed is still only like 110-ish. So this thing is the definition of glass. We are able to get the shield, and since they're double debuffed and they let the first one go, we should just be able to farm down after this. So the opponent will probably be switching out. They actually stay in and go down, so we're able to win switch advantage, and that's massive. They bring in the Greedent, and we'll be able to align this with our Scrafty, and Scrafty absolutely destroys the Greedent. Here, I could have thrown the Poison Fang, but I opted to instead go for the Crunch, and by doing so, force them to actually throw. We bring in the Scrafty, they bring in the A9, and we have Nidoqueen. And Nidoqueen does incredibly well against Charmalola Ninetales. And since I'm the non-shadow, I will easily be able to tank that Weather Ball with plenty of health to spare. And at this point, the opponent recognizes the situation and resigns the match. All right, hopping to the next one, we have Scrafty into Alolan Ninetales. I'm going to check the fast move, and it's Powder Snow. This is actually playable for Scrafty. We just have to watch for the Dazzling Gleam, so it's a very difficult baiting game. We'll go for the first power-up punch, farm it up again, and this is a tough call. I decide to call the Weather Ball, and they Dazzling Gleam me. Oh, that is horrible. We bring in Seviper. The nice thing here, we do win CMP. Seviper has a very high attack stat. Poison Fang will be able to take them out, and they have Jellicent in the back. And this is where having Crunch is incredibly useful. Going for the Crunch, this will be doing massive, super effective damage to the XL Jellicent. Oh my goodness. Now, Seviper, as I mentioned, very glassy. We will have to respect the Shadow Ball. We're building up, and now I'm going for the bait. I'm confident that they will respect the Crunch here. So we're going to be going for the bait, and the opponent calls the bait. Absolutely incredible play by my opponent. I am going to be shielding it up. It's another Shadow Ball. Doesn't look like I can farm down, so I get nervous, and I'm going for another Poison Fang. And let's see if we can take them out. We do. They save 2 shields for their Scrafty in the back, and this is looking a little rough. I will go for the Poison Fang. This is guaranteed damage, and it does lower their defense. They opt to save the shields, and now we bring in the Nidoqueen. They go for the power-up punch to try and boost up future foul plays there. And we are just going to absolutely spam out these Poison Fangs. They have no way to reset their defense debuff since they let the Scrafty go down. We'll be going for a second Poison Fang, able to get the shield. And now the foul play will be coming through. That does some pretty big damage, but just not enough. They're forced to throw again. Second foul play, but from here, Seviper able to mop up, and that is a good game. All right, hopping into the next one, we have Scrafty into Mandibuzz. Definitely depends on the Mandibuzz's fast move. They are running Snarl, which is way better for Scrafty. As Air Slash, hitting for super effective, that is a pretty terrible matchup. To be fair, Aerial Ace still hurts, but Aerial Ace is a pretty terrible move, and my opponent makes an amazing catch. They catch the Poison Fang onto their Armored Mewtwo. Very nicely done. We're able to bait out the Armored Mewtwo, and since we lowered their defense, they're actually going to have to respect this Crunch, or we're going to flip switch advantage. They do shield the Crunch. They'll be able to farm down, but if you remember, we switched out with a foul play loaded. Scrafty wins CMP, and if they don't shield, they lose all of that energy, and unfortunately, they do have a Charmer in the back, but we have our Nidoqueen, and Nidoqueen with the shield advantage should be able to handle this Charmer. They're staying in, a little bit of lag, and now they bring in the Mandibuzz. Mandibuzz does have that loaded energy. We are going to let the first one through, as Mandibuzz does not hit particularly hard. We have to go straight Poison Fang in this matchup and ramp up as much as we can. Mandibuzz, very, very tanky. So we are going to need a lot of help to take it out. I will shield the foul play just to preserve a little bit of health. We will overfarm, probably a bit of a misplay, but I did want to have optimal charge move timing. They opt for the no shield there. I am going to let this go because I can survive this move, whereas a Psyshock would take me out. And now they bring back in the Sylveon. We are getting low, but we're able to get off the Poison Fang. Come on, Nidoqueen. Nidoqueen should just about be at the move. We're shielding up the Psyshock. We undertap, and we get to the Poison Fang. And this should mean that that is a good game. The Mandibuzz comes back in and resigns the match. So tough one, but able to get the job done. Scrafty into Nidoqueen. This is a huge core breaker for the line. Unfortunately, we're forced to stay in because both Scrafty and Seviper have very poor matchups. Poison Fang, we tank that, and we're going to be going for the foul play. Unfortunately, we do very little fast move damage with counter in this matchup, so even though foul play does a significant chunk, counter really doesn't threaten. The second Poison Fang will be getting us deep into the red. We are going for the foul play, and foul play should be getting the shield here. People often like to shield the Nidoqueen, and now we're going to bring in our Seviper. This is a tough call to make. We're going to call it, and it's just the Poison Fang. That is absolutely massive, and the opponent brings in an Obstagoon. We are going to be going for the Poison Fang just to lower that defense and to do some chip damage. Able to get to another Poison Fang. Now their defense is lowered by 2 stages, so even if they take us out, then fortunately we'll be able to do double super effective damage on a Mon with a double debuff defense. So this will be doing quite a lot when we bring back in the Scrafty and try and farm down. We try and farm down and it's a simultaneous KO. That's a huge mistake by me. I should have switched into Nidoqueen and preserved, and they have a Scrafty in the back. So we may have a shot here, but not having an ability to reset a Poison Fang debuff is going to be very, very tough. We decide to let this go, and they do not bait. They go for the foul play, which is not great. We're building up. They bring in their own Nidoqueen, and here I'm pretty sure this is just the Poison Fang. So we are going to call it just the Poison Fang, and now we are not going to bait. We're going for the Earth Power. We need to take this out. Go for the Earth Power. We take it out. Back in comes the Scrafty, and I'm thinking they're probably just going to go straight Power Up Punch. So we call it, and it's the Power Up Punch. That is absolutely massive. And now we're going to get off this Poison Fang. They let it go, and we just need to farm down here. Come on. We are so low. They're going to be able to buff their attack again. Can we survive one more counter? Yes, we can. And we get the 1 HP win versus a terrible lead for our team. Hopping straight into the next match. And unfortunately, we cannot escape the Nidoqueen leads. And this time, it's Shadow. Now, the Shadow, the Poison Fang and Poison Jabs hit a lot harder versus Scrafty. So this makes this a lot tougher of a matchup. The Foul Play connects and actually does some very nice damage. But we are going to be almost taken out by this Poison Fang. Can we get there on very low health? But the opponent makes an incredible catch onto their own Scrafty. Absolutely fantastic play there. Oh my goodness. Now Seviper, we shielded up and it's a power-up punch. I'll be honest, I wasn't sure where they were at. They were close to enough. Unfortunately, I commit the shield and I get baited. We are going to be going for the Poison Fang here. Poison Fang gets them very low, and we are going to commit the second shield to Seviper, and it's another power-up punch. So my opponent has made an incredible play so far, and we have made a very, very poor plays in terms of shielding both power-up punches. We go for the crunch. Things are looking exceedingly rough here. They go for the Earth Power. They take us out. We're going to bring in the Nidoqueen. They have a Meganium. And my only win con here is I have to try and catch the Earthquake. And then maybe I have a shot. It's a very slim shot here. We're going to farm up. We switch into the Scrafty. My opponent reads the catch. They farm down. And I resign the match. So fantastic plays there by my opponent. And they absolutely crushed me. All right, hopping into the next match. Very nice lead in a Melmetal. And they're going to save switch into Swampert. Now this is very important to see the Swampert here because Nidoqueen can handle Melmetal, but our back line gets absolutely destroyed by Swampert. We successfully bait the power-up punch and we get the shield. They'll be going for the Hydro Cannon, and now I'm going for the kill shot with the foul play. We will commit our first shield, and now let's see if we can take out the Swampert. Going for the foul play, it connects, and after one counter, we take them out. They have a Charmer, so we are going to save switch into the Seviper. We need to bait back out the Melmetal, and from here, Nidoqueen is going to be able to close. Going for the Crunch. Crunch does a solid chunk of damage, even for being a non-stab move on Seviper. Again, Seviper's high attack stat coming in clutch. Going for the second crunch, this will be doing, again, a very nice chunk of damage. It lands. They're having a tough time farming us down. They're forced to throw to take us out. And from here, this game is over. All I will have to do is bring in the Scrafty to absorb damage, and Nidoqueen will be able to sweep in the back. They go for the superpower. We simul swap. They see the Nidoqueen, and the opponent resigns the match. So all in all, I had an absolute blast running XL Seviper. I definitely don't recommend building one. It's not very good. I really wish it was. Unfortunately, it has a great moveset, but again, like in Great League, its stats really hold it back. It has a big problem in terms of its lack of bulk that still prevent it from being very good. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you're enjoying the content, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And a special thank you, as always, to our members here on YouTube. The support you guys provide is absolutely incredible, so thank you guys oh so very much. And until next time, I've been HomeSliceHenry.